Welcome to the Art of Vibrancy podcast. It's a place where inspired experts distill their brilliance down into simple, practical advice that you can use right away. It's 8 minutes, it's 4 questions, and it's one practical piece of advice that you can put into use today. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Art of Vibrancy podcast. Today, you're so lucky today, we've got a very wise and interesting person with us today, Laura Agar Wilson. How are you, Laura? And tell our audience where you're speaking from.
I'm very well today, thank you. I'm speaking from Durham, which is in the northeast of England. Lovely cathedral university city up here.
Yeah, we were just having a quick chat beforehand. It's quite similar to Lancaster, where I live. University, castle, yeah. All those things, and it's and a cathedral, but and a small city, lovely place. I love Durham.
Yes.
So let me tell our audience a little bit about you, Laura. Laura Agar Wilson is a business. Wait a minute, am I saying that right? Agar.
You are, yes. Well done. Yes,
right,
not everyone gets that right, but yes, Agar.
Not Agar. Agar. Laura Agar Wilson is a business mentor, a course creator, and a designer who helps heart-centered humans, I love that, create businesses and lifestyles that honor who they are, what they need to thrive, and what they need to thrive. She's passionate about supporting people to show up as their whole selves and build businesses that feel aligned and authentic. That's so nice, that, Laura. That's great.
Oh, thank you. I do enjoy helping people with all that stuff. We're
going to do the score. It's
I know the score. I do.
4 questions in 8 minutes. I'm going to start the timer. Your time, Laura, starts now. What, in your experience, Laura, is the biggest problem that people face as they age with regard to staying healthy, well, and positive?
For me, and in my experience, I think one of the biggest things is that we become a bit disconnected from ourselves, from nature, from what we need to thrive, and all of that kind of just that disconnection from our own kind of inner wisdom, I think, a little bit as well. I think a lot of the way society is set up these days is obviously that, there's lots of benefits, with modern technology and things like that, but social media and being always attached to social media and not having that connection with nature, and kind of, I think it's led us to kind of, it overrides some of our own natural kind of like our innate wisdom, I suppose, to know what we need. And I think it's a bit of an issue. And also I think sometimes what it kind of leads into, that disconnection, is that you was kind of trying to push away negative emotions, so things like shame, and we develop limiting beliefs about what's possible for us, because we don't kind of see people who are living in really connected ways, I think, as much as what we used to. And there's a lot of fear of being judged, I think, that comes with that as well. Yeah,
so that's a whole social media thing, and trying to keep up with the Joneses and be something that we aren't.
I think it's really interesting when you think that we've gone from, I'm 30, coming 39, and I can remember, in the late 90s, there was no Facebook, and there was no, it just feels like an alien world to even think that at one point we weren't so hyper connected. And I think it's almost like that hyper connectivity to technology and to those things has kind of led to almost like a disconnection inside a little bit. So I think in terms of like one of the biggest challenges that we face is kind of, how do we reconnect with what actually is that we need as individuals, and kind of do that in our work almost, because often it's really easy just to forget about that, and just to do the exercise and eat well, and kind of forget about that other stuff.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, I agree 100%. And that leads us into our second question beautifully, Laura. What are the common mistakes or misconceptions that you find that people have about solving that problem? So they know that they're being disconnected from nature and the world and real life with all this social media. What are the mistakes they make when they start to try and resolve that?
I think because I mean, a lot of this kind of comes down to self-care, and I know that's a bit of like a wellness buzzword, or it has been over the last couple of years. And I think sometimes people think that, for start, sometimes people think that self-care is a bit kind of like self-indulgent or selfish, or they think it's just about having bubble baths and stuff like that. And whereas I kind of think that self-care is a much more holistic, like all-encompassing thing. It's about like, are you the work that you're doing, are you enjoying that? Are you feeling creatively inspired? Like, or are you aware of some of the negative thought processes and things that you've got going on? Like, how is your mindset? And I think sometimes we kind of see things in very like kind of like a two-dimensional way, and we kind of forget that it's so much bigger. And I think that's where a lot of my work, I started off as a health coach and then kind of progressed into business stuff. But a lot of my work did kind of do this thing, because I kind of thought, I started off and it was the diet and it was the exercise. And then gradually I started to understand it's everything that we do in our life. It's all the things that we consume, not just the food, but, the books that we read and the scrolling on social media and things like that. And I think that misconception is that it is just kind of like this one kind of simple thing, and almost, and it can get a bit overwhelming sometimes, I think, when people think, oh my gosh, it's everything. But I think we don't have to necessarily let ourselves get that overwhelmed if we just kind of again tune into like what it is that we feel that we need and what we feel that's missing. But yeah, I think it's very easy for people to think, have that misconception that self-care is bubble baths and
and really it's the whole mindset. Just quickly say, we haven't got, we're on to 3 minutes 15, so quickly say what you told me before about how a lot of your health clients started businesses.
Yes, so this is a really interesting thing that I started to notice. So I started off as a health coach and then kind of progressed into business, helping other people with their businesses. And what I noticed was a lot of the clients who I was coaching around health, they started to actually, and through their own journeys, decide to start businesses, because I think what they recognised was this thing, the typical 9-to-5 office job or the shift work. It's not really like set up to facilitate the kind of lifestyle that a lot of us are yearning for now. A lot of us are yearning for like that, more of that connection with nature, more of a simple life where we don't feel like every second of our day is filled with something that actually we don't really want to be doing, or that we don't enjoy and that doesn't bring us any satisfaction. So it's been really interesting to see people like almost like setting up businesses like an extension of their own self-care. And I just find that really fascinating how that happens. But I think that happens for a lot of people who are similar to me, who are setting up businesses in this kind of area. It's really interesting.
It's absolutely we could talk for hours about this, Laura, because I've
definitely
done a similar journey about so much. Now I'm running this, Anyway, we're running out of time. Question number 3, what's the number one tip that you could give our audience to help them today? So a tangible, specific action they could implement today.
Okay, so a specific action would be to just have like a small, really, really small daily practice where they just simply like kind of drop into themselves and ask themselves, what do I need today to feel good, to feel some joy, to meet a need that I have? And I'm really inspired by the work of Brené Brown. So she really coined the phrase wholehearted living, and my website is Wholeheartedly Laura, which was, I actually came up with that before I came across Brené Brown. So I think it was kind of like just that universal alignment thing. But she talks about universal living and kind of showing up in your life with a vulnerability. And I think to really get our needs met, there is a vulnerability there. There's like an aspect of that, I think, to be able to say, actually, I'm not okay and I need some support in this, or actually, my job isn't working for me right now and I need to do something to change it. I think to actually get to that level of change sometimes that we need to actually make our lives better and be healthier and happier, there has to be an element of vulnerability there. So I think just having that little daily practice.
A little daily
really
practice.
Useful.
So sit for 5 minutes and just think, just reflect.
It can just be thinking, it can be doing. What I would say is don't like judge what it needs to be. Like for me, I tried like the written journal and stuff, and I just for some reason, I just like my brain doesn't work like that, but I can type on a computer or I can type on my phone. So although obviously, I've been saying here, don't get too attached to technology, but actually if it works and if you type in some notes on the phone is useful, or if you just want to sit in silence, it's just that like checking in with yourself thing, because again, we're so busy and we're not doing that kind of just that little practice of just checking in, basically.
This is so interesting.
Almost done.
We're all right. Yeah, we've got one question left. This has been just so fascinating, Laura. Final question.
Thank you.
Is what free resource would you like to share with our audience? Something of yours that they could look at or download?
Yeah. So I have a free resource which is called my Ultimate Self-Care Kit, and I think it's a really good place to start, whether you're in business or not. And it just kind of helps you ask yourself some really like fundamental questions about like what's working for you right now, what isn't, what things can you bring into your life, and it kind of leads you to come up with 3 little actions that I think are really going to support you with all the stuff that I've just talked about, in terms of like getting your needs met and helping you thrive, basically.
And where do they get that from? Just say, I'll put the link underneath, but you just say it out loud now.
So if they go to wholeheartedlylaura.com/ultimate-self-care-kit, I think it is.
If they go to your website, they'll find it.
If they go to their website, they'll find it, yeah.
And the website is wholeheartedlaura.com.
Wholeheartedly Laura. So the L and the Y on the end, Wholeheartedly Laura.
Oh, Wholeheartedly Laura. I love that. Wholeheartedlylaura.com. Perfect. Laura, we went slightly over, but it was so fascinating, and I'm sure our audience is going to absolutely love this. So on behalf of them and from myself, from my heart, thank you so much. That's been really, really interesting.
Well, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Bye. Thanks for checking out the Art of Vibrancy podcast. If you like what we're doing here, please head over to iTunes, subscribe, rate us, and leave a review, and I'll love you forever. And if you'd like to try my energy boosting, inflammation busting, brain and body food breakfast, head over to www.breakfastofbrilliance.com and download the recipe today. See you soon. Bye.